How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore. Today we have an Audi RS7 here. We're going to be installing paint protection film on the front bumper. And then this one, there's a couple little different things that we're doing. First off, we're installing the kit as it is from Core. So we didn't remove anything. It's even got the parking sensors still left in there. And then also on this one, this vehicle has been in the body shop for some touch-up paint. So there's some here and some down here, and there's a little bit more around the bumper. And so the thing to know about touch-up paint on a bumper is that it's like first time goes. So you don't want to be pulling the material back because you can pull that touch-up paint off. And also I do use a bit more soap in my slip solution to make sure that we don't get as much pre-tacking as I normally get. I like to run real sticky, so or real tacky. And that is not something you want when there's touch-up paint on the bumper. Terrific, well, let's get started. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line this part up around the tow hook cover, and then I'm also gonna make sure I'm lined up real good around basically everything in this area. I wanna double check. So we're lined up real good there, as well as around the headlight washer, and then the tow hook cover. Go ahead and tack or squeegee some of this out. Looks like all right. Basically, I just stretch this up just a tiny bit, and that helped get rid of some of this finger that was right here, some of the excess material. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go down here with this, and we're gonna put some tack in here and then lay this part down flat. Want to make sure that we're still wrapping into here real well and that we're not hanging over the edge there. All right, and then I'm gonna put a little tack up this part, and we'll push this down real quick here. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and line up the headlight washer up to about right here, and then we'll go ahead and squeegee this stuff up. Okay, and then now let's go ahead and go this direction, and it's gonna use just a little bit of stretch, it looks like, and that's gonna help here and right here, and it's just a little bit, like I said, maybe 1/8 of an inch. So let's go ahead and put some tack up here, and then I'm gonna start from back here to stretch that, and then just watch that kind of line up into place, and then squeegee this out. Put a little tack in here. I'm gonna just kind of hold that a little bit in place with my finger, and then we'll squeegee all this out. Uh-oh. Earlier this part moved a little bit and left a bigger gap here. Oh, a spider. So let's pull this back a little bit right here. We'll use more tack in here this time, or at least right up against this edge, because we don't want that to move again. So I rolled that over through here with my finger, and then I followed it up with the squeegee. That gets the bulk of it pushed down, and then the squeegee obviously takes care of getting all the slip solution out from underneath it. All right, let's keep working our way around here. All right, so you can see we're gonna need a tiny bit of stretch to get this to line up at the edge of that washer. And we also kind of want to keep an eye on this top part here. Make sure we're kind of splitting the difference. Most of it should, I mean, you want most of your coverage right here because that's going to be the most noticeable if there's a gap there. And you can see, I mean, the bumper's got quite a few chips in it already, so I don't know how you guys feel about when you're doing bumpers with some damage already to them. I feel like it's a, it's like a real, all the pressure's off. And we're still going to do the same install. I don't know why it feels so much easier, but not necessarily easier, but I just feel like the pressure's off. All right, this right here is taking a tiny bit of stretch, and so I'm going to put a little bit of tack on it since we are using the extra soap today for this bumper. It's going to just pop itself right back up. All right, and then while I did this here, push this down, I was also double checking this area around the parking sensor to make sure that we were lined up real good. And we'll go ahead and put a little tack around the parking sensor and then squeegee all this out. Okay. So I'm looking down here to see how much stretch we need downward. I mean, looks like in here we don't actually need any stretch, but I'm just double checking to make sure that whoever designed the pattern didn't add any stretch for some reason. And that's looking really good. We're gonna want this relief cut to line up right where this material wraps over this edge here. So that looks good. Go ahead and get a little tack in there. And then we'll lay this area back down. That'll keep it from moving while we're working on the rest of this area out here. Okay, we'll just start squeegeeing this down. All right, we are getting a little bit of a finger here. So I'm gonna go ahead and split that up, and then we'll get some tack in there. Let's get some tack along the bottom. So it doesn't continue to pop up at all. Actually, let's get some in here right now, as well as we can go all the way up this. All right. So we're gonna go right over that edge and then put some pressure right on the edge so that this doesn't pop back up. And we're going to go ahead and just leave the rest of this, and we'll come back to that. So we'll go ahead and take across the bottom now, and then we'll bring it together right here on this seam. And actually, I'm going to go over and double check on the other side for pre-tacking. All right, and then just a heads up, it probably would have been a good idea to start on the other side because that's the side with all the touch-up paint. That way we don't have to worry about pre-tacking over there. Creature habit though, I always go this direction. So I guess that's a do as I say, not as I do situation right there. That was one of my dad's favorite lines. See all that? Okay. So what we're going to be looking for here is how much stretch we're going to need to get this to line up right with that edge. Alright, so basically what I'm doing is lining this up and then I'm kind of pushing it together, and you'll see as you push it together Alright, so what I'm doing here when I push... Sorry, somebody's pulling a car out. Alright, so what I'm going to do here when I'm bringing this stuff together is I'm making sure that I'm not going over the other material, and then I'm pushing this up into the other material above it. And you'll notice as you're pushing this up that the line kind of goes away more. It almost goes clear. Instead of having the little white to it or silver to it, the edge will kind of get white. I'm sorry, the edge will already be white and it'll kind of go clear as you bump right up to it. It looks like we're gonna need a little bit of stretch this way in order for this piece to fit in there. So let's pull this back to right there, and let's get a little bit more stretch on this. All right, that's, you know, let's go ahead and get a little tack in there, and let's get ourselves a new stretch point here, because we don't want to leave a lift line or a stretch line right there. All right. I'll hold that down just for a second there. Dry it out a little so it stays down, and then we want to get this part tacked down really good as well. So we put a little tack in there. This area keeps popping up, and we don't want that. We don't want it to continue to pop up like that, because it's going to end up leaving, at some point, once the material starts to cure a little bit more, it's going to leave a lift line right there like this. So make sure to get those areas down as well as you can and keep them from continually popping up. Okay, so now we can get back to this. They're slipping around quite a bit, so I went ahead and put some tack in there. Okay. Keep working our way across. I'm going to go ahead and put some tack behind this, because it's such a small piece, it is going to be trying to move around a lot. So let's go ahead and get this part lined up. And then, you know, just make sure that we've got a good line here. Looks like we need to go up just a tiny bit more. That looks good. Okay, and that looks good there. Go ahead and squeegee this part out. And the reason we want to line this up is because we want to make sure that we don't do any stretching here unless we need to. So if we line that up first, we'll know to be really careful not to put any stretch in it, or whether we do need to put some stretch in it. And definitely isn't going to need stretch to get over there. So I'm just running this right down that edge, and I'm putting my finger on it, and my finger will kind of help tack that spot. We just want to run right along that edge. And we're just being gentle when we do this first squeegee across. Let me get the smaller card here, or squeegee. All right, let's line this part up. All right, then we'll go ahead and squeegee this out. And we can go across it. Oh, too hard, too much, too much. Let's get this lined up again. Okay, let's be a little more gentle this time. I'm gonna put a little bit more pressure on it this time. I just don't want there to be any excess tack solution underneath there. But we're definitely not going to be as aggressive as I was before. We'll let that tack a little bit, and then we'll come back and put a little, you know, another squeegee on it, and then wrap down. Oh. All right, so let's get this part in place, and then we'll deal with all of this over here. All right, now that we've got this part tacked down, let's deal with this, and then we'll work that way. All right, let's take care of this part first. We're gonna get some tack in there. All right, I'm gonna come all the way to this face here, right below this line. Then we'll work this up. All right, and I'm gonna want some of this finger to be over here. I'm gonna kind of split it up, so I'll kind of bring it back this way a little bit as well, and we'll kind of split that up. All right, so when I'm coming across that and I'm pushing it up, you'll see that I'm like lifting off real fast. And that's because I'm only taking, I'm trying to get that finger that was there to kind of split up. And I don't want to stop with the squeegee on here because you'll leave a line, a mark in the adhesive where you stopped. So it's important that you get right off of that material. All right, and now that we've made it to here, we're gonna go and leave all that alone for now and work our way down. We're gonna get a little bit more tack solution down, or we're gonna put some tack solution down there because that's where we're gonna be taking the material down to. Doesn't appear, just like before, there's no stretching involved in this part. So we wanna line that up real well and then make sure we've got ample coverage on that side as well. And then we'll go ahead and squeegee this out. And because it didn't need any stretching, you don't want to put a whole bunch of pressure on this and cause this to move at all. Otherwise it's going to come too far down and you're going to move it off of these lines that where we've got everything lined up real well. Blah. All right, you can see we ended up being a little far that way. I'm gonna have to live with that though, because this area is all use tack solution to stay down. Well, let's just pull it up, huh? So we can pull it up to right here. So if it does leave a stretch line, it'll be right there, as well as we can pull it back to here to leave a stretch line on this mark. And then since this isn't tacked down, we just take it all the way back to there. So let's get that excess out, and then let's keep a good eye on this part now. All right, that's looking much better. We need some tack right along this line so that when we squeegee up, we don't move this. I'm pretty sure that that might have been what happened last time. So we'll go ahead and go right along this body line here and push that down. And we can push this part up. And then let's go ahead and wrap this on so that that's more surface area stuck to the bumper so we don't move it as we're pushing the top out. Let's get some more tack in here. So let's start right here and make sure that this is down. Same as we did before. Okay, and then now we're gonna start taking this up back into here. You can see that we do have that little bit of a finger again. And so when we're working this up, we're gonna wanna kind of split that up a bit. So you see I brought it back right here again so that we can split this finger up. Okay. All right, so we've got, let's keep this popped up a couple times. Just go ahead and dry that edge out. We've worked our way down, all the way down here. All right, let's hold on here and not have this fully tacked down. Because we know last time we did have to squeegee or stretch this direction a little bit last time in order to get this piece to fit correctly. We'll see if that's necessary again on this side, or if I had something a little bit misaligned on the other side that caused that. All right, so we're gonna need a tiny bit of stretch again on this to get this corner and everything to line up. And I'm gonna go ahead and put a little tack right on this body line. We'll go ahead and stretch that into place. And then we'll squeegee out here and then work all this down. Okay, let's come back and get this part on. I'm actually gonna pull over here. Oh, this didn't get weeded out. All right. I put quite a bit of tack in there, so the material is really getting tacky. So while I'm pulling that back, I'm also kind of keeping an eye on the top here. Make sure that we don't overstretch it and go over the edge here. All right, let's take a look here. Make sure we've got a good edge. And we can still pull down a little bit right here if it's not lined up real well. That looks good. I'm going to squeegee this out. All right, then we'll work our way down here. We want this to stay in place, so a little tack. Okay, there's a lot of extra soap in my stuff today, so I'm not used to having to use so much tack solution, but we're gonna have to put a little bit on this top edge here. All right, so let's go ahead and work our way down. Pay attention right here. Basically at the bottom of this line is where I'm gonna put this relief cut. And we're gonna go ahead and start squeegeeing this down. We wanna make sure that we've got good coverage here, that it doesn't wrap and hit this black plastic part. Jesus Christ. All right, and let's see about all right, so we've got a lot of touch-up paint right here. So once that goes down, that's a game over. Like, it has to stay there. That's a first time goes. There's also some touch-up paint here and other spots around the bumper, but this is the biggest areas. All right, so we're gonna go to right here. Actually, let's just get this part down first with some tack solution. Okay, and then let's make sure we don't have any fingers along this bottom edge. And if we do or did, then we could stretch back this way a tiny bit. All right, so let's get this part stretched into place. That'll help also relieve some of this here, some of that extra material that's bunched up. Okay, a little tack in there. So there's a little bit of extra material that's bunched up right here. Let's see what we can do about this, because it wants to kind of crease over. So we're going to pop this up a little bit and pop this up. And then I'm just going to run my finger right up to where the relief cut is and hold that down. And that'll keep this area from bunching up, and it'll move the finger that was there, a little bit of extra material, away from that area. This part wants to keep popping up, but let's not worry about that part right now. Okay, now that we've got this tacked down over this touch-up paint, that's never coming up again without taking the touch-up paint off. So let's work our way down to here. All right, so there's gonna be a little bit of stretch, and what I'm gonna do this time, because we had that extra material over here last time, I'm going to let this wrap in just a little bit right here and not bring it right to this very edge. All right, now let's move on to this seam. So you can see here that that's actually lining up real good this time. So we're gonna fold this back that way, and then we're gonna tack this down real good. Just checking for coverage there, and then we'll go ahead and squeegee this out. So we'll swipe and hold there. And let's make sure that this is lined up real good. Let's not mess with it too much though, because we don't want to pull this area back up. So let's let that cure. Let's get this part down here. Make sure there's plenty of tack in there. So I'm not really putting any stretch on that. I was just kind of holding it in place with my fingers there. We want this line to stay nice and straight. All right, so let's get this seam together. I'm gonna use mostly slip on this, slip solution, but we may end up needing a little bit of tack solution. And if I do use some tack solution on this, I'm not gonna fill the whole thing with tack solution. I'm going to just get some in there with the slip solution. You see how we just push it up into place there? And then I'm gonna go ahead and squeegee out down here as well to kind of help hold this part in place. You can also see, hopefully in the camera, I'm gonna hope we can see it anyway, that when I push this together, you can see the water, any moisture that was in that edge come out. See how easy that peels up? That's gonna be gonna have to be real gentle with this or it's gonna move around. What happened there when I was pushing all this together is I think I was pulling this way a little bit and I went over right here. And if we can get this done without having to trim that, that'd be best. All right, so if you remember, we used tack solution in here to get this down really good, and that's for a couple reasons. One, when we're bumping up against this, we don't want this part popping up so that we're able to bump up to it really tight. The other thing is that if I squeegee up to push out this slip solution, if this isn't tacked down really good, then what's gonna happen, or can happen, is that when you squeegee this, you'll actually squeegee that moisture up into the top piece, and then, you know, that just creates other issues. All right, if you watch this right here, if you can see the water come out of that line, you see that? All right, it's really easy when there's so much slip solution in here to put just a tiny bit of stretch on this, which is then making this go over this edge. I guess I could have put just a little bit of stretch this way on this piece of material so that we weren't fighting with this so much. All right, so don't come up. All right, that came up. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, I put some pressure on that with my finger. We're gonna go ahead and make sure that that's good and stuck down so that no matter how I move this, we don't have to worry about it pushing that way and bunching up or hanging over. So I'm kind of running down with my finger here to make sure that I'm not over the top. This piece isn't over the top of that material, and then we're going to bump it up to it, and again squeegee that out. I'm going to leave this here while this part tacks up, so we'll get back to this later. I don't want to try pushing this down or pulling it up to put some tack underneath there and having it run up to this line here. Let's go work on some other part. Oh, we can just continue on to the center here. All right, we're gonna push that one, lay that one back. Are we? Okay. And then we'll pull this one back up. A lot of pre-tacking because it's been a little while. We've been working on the other stuff. And then we're just gonna follow this line here on the top. We're not gonna make it all the way to the grill. All right, let's see if we can squeegee this down without any tack solution. I'm just gonna be real gentle with it. All right, and then let's put a little tack on the very top edge. Should get itself just a little bit under that top edge, and then that should help this stay down. In areas like this, it's also important that you keep plenty of moisture on your squeegee and on the material. Otherwise, when you push up, you're going to grab the material and move it. All right, let's go ahead now. I'm going to get a little tack under here. And then we'll bring this across again. And then we'll work our way down underneath, starting over here. And I'm going to basically chomp this down. All right, and then let's run this across this again, do a slide chomp. Just make sure we're not leaving any moisture in there. All right, let's lay this back down so we don't get any debris in it. I am gonna go get some Olfa scissors so that we can trim this, because for whatever reason, both of these sides seem to be a little bit long. Because the center, you can see, you know, would be coming right down the grill here. Should be right about there. Actually, which this piece lines up to, if it's right about there. This piece lines up, this one is off a bit. And basically that probably just means somewhere over there I stretched a little too much. All right, so let's go ahead and work our way a little bit over here. Just in case we need to put any stretch on this, we don't want to trim this yet. Now we're only gonna make our way over to about here. And I'll show you why. All right, we'll save that bottom for at the end here. So what I'm gonna do is trim this up now, and you can see we're gonna need about not quite a 1/4 inch cut off. Try to keep this as straight as possible. And actually, so what I'm gonna do is cut a 1/4 inch on this one. All right, and that's what that's gonna do, is give us a little gap there, which is gonna work out great because we're gonna be able to stretch this into place. All right, let's see, we might be able to put a little tack in there, and then just put our fingers back here. And we'll just bump this edge right into this edge. Keep it nice and tight. This part could use just a little bit more stretch. Okay. Kind of hold that in place on the bottom, and we'll squeegee this out. So stretching that into place makes it a much tighter seam than it just laying right into place. That's why I cut off a little extra so that we could push it together. All right, let's squeegee this out. And then we will go ahead. Well, let's put a little tack in there. I'm not used to this much slip in my, or this much soap in my slip. All right, now let's go ahead, put some tack on the bottom. And we'll go ahead and wrap this down. Let's make sure there's nothing on this body line first, and then we'll go ahead, work our way down a little ways. All right, and then we'll work our way all the way under. Just checking for any moisture left behind. And then let's come on back over here and work on this part now that this should be good and tacked down. Right, so first things first, because we got the finger that's kind of bunching up right there, we'll go ahead and start there. That'll help break it up again. And then we'll wrap it under. And then we'll come to this side, just start wrapping that edge, and then we'll do the center. And let's do a little slide chomp on that. All right, check this out. Can you see how far this piece of this was done by somebody else, the rest of this car? And this had paint protection on it, and then he ran it into something and then brought it in for paint protection over the top of the touch-up paint. But you can see that this stuff is just lifting. This type of thing right here is from an improper or no heat seal. When you're finished, you have to heat seal every edge every time, and that'll help this stuff from happening, keep this from happening where it's not going to pop up. I mean, you can see that really, I mean, this stuff here even, let's take a look here. I wouldn't have lined it up so well back here. I would have made sure that I was coming all the way to this edge here. So all the way to this edge, I would have brought this material and then left the gap in the back, because this is going to get hit by a lot more rocks. But I mean, it's kind of a beginner install that somebody did, so that, I mean, I'm not surprised that that's the way they installed it. All right, fill this up with tack again, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this in. We want to make sure that we're past the body line there. So again, we can just slide over that edge and then hold right on that body line. And then we'll go ahead and work the rest of this down back in towards this grill. All right, let's see what we can do here. I'm going to go ahead, because I'm not able to, when I'm doing that slide, it's not doing a real good job in here. So I am going to go ahead and put a lot of pressure on that with my finger and hold that down. And then I'm going to work my way up to my finger. And then kind of under my finger to make sure we're getting everything down. And then I'll come up. And then up from here, and then work my way down from here. All right, now let's make sure we've got this all dried out so that we can get this part to stay down. And then just double check for anything left behind. We're good. Move our way up to here. We're just going to go ahead and make our way all the way to the top. Okay, we're coming up again right here. And that's something that we could just leave hanging up like that, and then when we go back and heat seal all these edges, then that would, you know, that would fix that. Even if there was a little distortion in the adhesive from that hanging up like that, it wouldn't really affect anything because you can't see it. All right, so what I went ahead and did is put the towel over my squeegee, and I kind of just made my way down there. Another tool that acts very similar to that is going to be this one here, where it slides really well across the film, so you don't have to really worry about it bunching the material up, but it'll dry out that edge as it goes past. All right, let's go ahead and work all this down. Get some tack in there. You see over here? Yeah, we'll just work our way across here. Just chomping this down. So you can see here, when I do this, I'm actually bending the squeegee up over this edge and then down, and that makes sure that we're getting this body line here completely squeegeed out in case any of the moisture happens to be that high. Okay, and then closer to the end here, we'll work back this direction. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do a slide chomp on this. Let's see, can you? And when I do my slide chomp, well, let's get this down first. All right, when I do my final slide chomp, I'm gonna be using 2 hands, and I'm gonna get some real pressure on it, and you could see this thing rounding up across the top, or the face here, down in. Dry that edge out. All right, let's see if there's anything else. Yep, let's get you back down. All right, there was a little finger coming off this way, and I went ahead and just put some tack in there and then ran across it with my finger, and then we'll hold that in place. Go ahead and get some tack in the rest of this. I don't like wrapping these over when they're dry. So you could use a glove, and run your finger back and forth over it like that, but I feel like that there's more of a possibility of leaving air pockets in it, and this will help. This will get it down. Doing it this way will get it down. Okay, let's get this bottom part down and work our way towards the center here. Oh, there's this part coming up a little bit right here. We put some tack solution in it at the same time as this, so let's go ahead and get this down. I did push that down before, so let's go ahead and bump that edge. Okay, we have a little bit hanging over here. See if we can get that to stay down. No. No problem, that'll go down when we do the heat seal at the end. All right, let's get a little paint protection on the windshield washers. Oh my goodness gracious, I keep calling them windshield washers. Let's get a little paint protection film on the headlight washers. All right, so we've got a lot. We need to do quite a bit of stretching. So what I'm gonna do here, let's go ahead and tack this side down, and then we're gonna stretch to right there, and then we're gonna stretch it down. And I mean, it would be nice to just tack the bottom down because it's lining up real well, and then stretch into that corner. But I typically like to do, get this part, the top parts down. Well, let's just see how this works. Maybe we'll do the other one different on the other side. So some tack solution in there, so this will stay down. Okay, and then we'll stretch over into this corner, and I am going to put a little bit of tack on that corner so that when we stretch it into place, I kind of put my finger into it a little bit there, and that just helped it stick down. Okay, and then we'll squeegee some of this up. All right, so that leaves us, an area here where we don't have any stretch lines at all, and then we're going to be doing our stretching from this body line here, which I think is a better install as far as like where you start is to start on the top and then work your way down. But we'll do the other side the opposite way, where we tack the bottom down first and see what works best. Okay, got a little finger coming up right here. Let's get some tack in there. We'll push that down, and then we'll even bump that edge. Same with these ones, actually. And let's take care of this little guy here. Let me show you a different technique for helping with an area to get that down. All right, so now I wouldn't use this technique if after this is sat for so long, if this wasn't a gray car and I wasn't trying to show you this. I would normally just put some tack in there and then push this out. What we're gonna go ahead and do is stick a pick tool in there. We're gonna bring this material up a little bit. And then we'll do that the other direction as well. Get some tack in there. And what this is going to do is allow that finger to spread out from here to here instead of just being right there in the center. Then we'll bump that edge. So now I think that should stay down without a problem. All right, so let's go ahead and get a little tack in here. And this one we're going to start on the bottom and then go up. Let's get that lined up real good. And then we're going to need just a tiny bit of stretch from left to right. And then with the tack in there, I'm able to kind of hold it with my thumbs and hold it in place, and then it'll stick down right where my thumbs were. And I'm not pressing real hard. I'm just very extremely gently holding the material in place. All right, so let's go ahead and stretch up to this corner now. Okay. Oh, so too much pressure in these areas when you're trying to hold that in place to have that start tacking will leave distortions in the adhesive from your finger. All right, so let's get most of this, have some tack in it, and then we will be, slip in it, and then we will be using some tack on this corner here. Make sure that top edge is lined up pretty good. All right, we are hanging over a little bit here. Let's not do that. A little bit up here too. All right, so basically you get the same outcome, but I do like starting on the top better and then working my way down. I think that one installed easier than this one, but they both look great. All right, well, that's the process of installing this kit cut out with Core. All that's going to be left to do is heat seal the edges, and this thing's going to be finished up. So I appreciate you taking a look. If you found anything useful or helpful, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.